Guess we can get started. Everybody's ready?
Yeah.
We don't, I don't think we have a quorum to vote on action items, but we can go ahead and get started and then come back to those if we get a quorum, I guess.
Sure.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the City of Laredo Utilities Advisory Committee meeting. It is Thursday, November 13, 2025. It is 12:10 p.m. We're here located inside the Utilities Department Conference Room. Item number one, I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Number two, roll call, please.
Mr. Carlos Blanco Jr.,
Present.
José Luis Tijerina,
Here.
Ricardo Solís, Manfredo Salinas, Mr. Eduardo Ochoa,
Present.
Michael Yoder,
Here.
Mr. Luis Ramirez, Dr. Tara Elizabeth,
Present.
Lauren Munoz, present, Sylvia Melendez, myself, present, and Mr. Jean
Lindgren.
Lindgren. I'm so sorry about that.
Okay, thank you. So again, I don't believe we have a quorum, right? We have only four. So we'll go ahead and just proceed, I guess, at this time with the agenda items for discussion, and we get an opportunity, if there's any action required, and we get an opportunity to do so, we'll
Perfect.
push it off for later in the meeting.
So great. So I'll just give updates maybe for today because it's really more general update on the airport sewer order discussion. So we actually did check that location, and apparently there is a problem with the sewer line for people who live in the airport area. And the manhole seems for whatever reason is leaking a little bit in that area. So we looked at different engineering solutions. So first time we did oxygenation and then cleanups and all of that, but that did not resolve the issue. So, and we couldn't fix, we can't change the manhole because apparently the whole thing, the sewer line goes under the state highway road there. So what we're looking at now is what like is the pipe bursting. You know when you put that inflation to engulf the line from within, so that will hopefully stop the leakage from that pipe from that sewer line. So we're working now with finding a company who can do this pipe bursting for sewer line. We're reaching to different ones, so we'll figure out this one. So hopefully by next meeting that issue would be landing on some engineering firm to get that problem resolved. On the fire hydrant purge, I'm not sure honestly, again, I can't remember what was the issue here on the Gutsamine and Malinche there.
Guatemocin and Malinche. I believe Mr. Blanco had brought it up.
So,
Yeah, I had seen the purging of the system there,
yes,
and let me see here, the minutes show that it was okay. An initiative to conserve water, okay. Sure, I mentioned that, and because I remember that they were doing, back in the days of the boil water notices, the City of Laredo was taking that action to purge the system from
Yes.
contaminants.
correct.
So, and I was asking if that action that the city was taking, I guess it was last month or in September of this year, was it for the same purpose?
Which month again? Last year or this year?
Well, during the boil water notices, I believe it was in 2019 and
22.
22,
Yes.
where we were down like for 14 days or something like that. There was lots of purging all over the area. There was several, I know there was one in Pueblo Nuevo, and there was one here in the Bay. And there was one on the Azteca neighborhood, or not, there was two in the Azteca neighborhood. And I was questioning if that hydrant open at that corner of Guatemocin and Malinche was basically the same thing, to purge contaminant. If that's what the city is taking, the action they're taking to purge the contaminant, well, I guess I am not an elected official, but noticing what they have done in the past, I guess they're taking the proper procedures, if they are.
So good question. I can assure you this wasn't due to the same condition, because we don't have any waterborne advisory notice. We're squeaky clean, we have been for that now since May, June, until today. We had collected 5 months of samples, and we passed with flying colors with TCEQ, so we're in 100% compliance, so we have no issues. The chlorine residuals, the pressure system, everything working as it should be. We're actually more aggressive now to see if one day we could be a superior water quality utility. So if we can get to that level, that's gonna be our goal. I wanna also share with you that last month we converted from what we used to disinfect, the system is called chloramine. It's a disinfectant, which is not very strong, but it stays longer in the pipelines to help us keep the system clean. But when you move from summer to the fall to the winter and back, the system sometimes needs some refreshing. So we moved from chloramine to free chlorine. So some of you might smell swimming pool smell in the water for the last month. That was because we did this as a best practice. McKellen, Eagle Pass, and other utilities does that. So they shift for 1 month to a different disinfectant, which we did. And now since a week or 2 weeks ago, we moved back to chloramine. Some of the flushing you're referring to, sometimes we do that after a full period of disinfectant to induce the new one and do that. So that's one way why we do that. The other one, sometimes you have a line break, and when you put a new piece of a pipe, you flush the line so you make sure that the line is clean. So whatever in that pipe is not actually going into people's systems.
And understandably, the city of Laredo lacks a looping system in our infrastructure for our water that goes out to the residents in our community, and it's something that, I mean, we're not gonna fix overnight. It's because the looping system is just gonna cost too much money to actually implement that into the infrastructure. So the city of Laredo is taking the proper action to make sure that the water is up to standards as dictated or as mandated by the EPA and TCEQ, which is good.
That's accurate. And those spots that, the dead ends, I call them, what we do now is trying to do a more of a regular monthly flushing at those dead ends.
Right.
To ensure that the water doesn't sit too long there. So that's accurate. We have data that shows every month how much we flush to deal with that. It's not great, but if you have loop systems, to your point, we have to do that.
Yeah, Mr. Blanco, so you had said to get the contaminants out. So when they flush, they actually have this little red box next to it. They're automatic flushers, so the utilities department's not sending anybody at, people out all scrambling all over town. These are usually placed at dead ends. The purpose of those flushers is we have to keep the water moving, because if it stays stagnant, then we lose residual. And we have to keep a certain residual. I'm saying we right. Okay, so.
Maintain.
The city needs to maintain a certain residual. And that's why they have those flushers go on at certain, and there's like a timer in there. And they flush to make sure that the residual doesn't go down, so that way the city is always in compliance. So that's what it's for. It's not so much to take out contaminants. Contaminants is such a weird word in the water.
Yeah, and in regards to being in compliance with TCEQ and EPA, what is the grace period in which the city of Laredo has to report that there is something improper in the water?
The city of Laredo has 24 hours to
24
report.
hours?
Yes, sir.
24 hours. And
Okay, but usually within those 24 hours, the city of Laredo is doing whatever they can to
Absolutely.
correct the problem,
big time,
which is
big time. I mean,
serving the public.
absolutely. We have legal obligation to report immediately.
Yes.
And if there's any contamination, we have to issue a public notice for everyone to, whether advisory or other means. So, but I am really comfortably saying we have been doing, for the last 5 months, our numbers are perfect. We have not exceeded anything. Every report we send to CEQ, we do 180 samples a month. And the map I'll show you is what covers everything. Every corner of the city gets sampled every month to ensure that the whole system is in compliance and the residuals are where they should be.
I'm not too sure that we get 100% of our water comes to the Rio Grande.
Yes, sir.
That is correct. And you know, not to offend anybody, but you know, Mexico doesn't have the same standards as we have,
That's correct.
and in regards to the water supply. So I'm sure they're flushing out a lot of contaminants
So
into the river.
they flush out 6 million gallons per day of sewage, but downriver from Jefferson, so.
Right.
Zapata,
That doesn't,
Zapata.
that's, you know, kicking the can down the road, you know, that's a problem.
I assure you, the guys at the plant are,
Yeah.
I have heard, well, that, now this is, we're getting into the water issue, but I have heard from, I'm gonna say acquaintances that I have in Nuevo Laredo, that, Nuevo Laredo is probably one of the top tier cities in Mexico that is doing just about everything they can to make sure that contaminants are not released, of gray water and black water are released into the Rio Grande. I don't know if that's true or not, because, you know, Mexico makes their own rules and they make their own
6
problems.
million gallons is 6 million gallons, you know?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
just,
because another thing, no, Laredo is twice or thrice the size of Laredo, Texas. But anyway, it's good to know that we have competent people working for the city of Laredo.
absolutely, and very well trained,
Yes.
Very
They're
good.
very
very well
And
trained.
our wastewater plants basically are in 100% compliance with the discharge, so we can just discharge raw sewage, or even
That's correct.
the total suspended has to be a certain amount, the E. coli, so we're squeaky clean on, you know, treatment inside the system, and when we discharge the system, it has to be the same. And two of the big golf courses use that wastewater, treated wastewater, to irrigate their golf courses, which is also a public health issue that we need to be clear that it actually meets all the human interaction with these things, so we're good.
And I'd like to add a little more on the comment to say that the city of Laredo has adequate people or people that are well-trained, right, to serve the public. I also want to add that we also have a stellar committee membership.
Yeah,
We're in good hands. That's why we look for actually your advice, your help, and understand some of the issues and get feedback from the community and councilors, so it's a two-way process. And if you have no further question, I wanna go talk about the conservation piece. So as I said, there is a council resolution by Dr. King, I don't know if you remember, in October of this year, to look at low consumption plants instead of landscaping and mow and green landscapes. And we have been discussing this, and what I have committed to the council member is to come back in March of 26 with ideas of, because I think San Antonio had a very successful program, and I want to see how they did it. I mean, we need a partner, some, you know, landscape companies, nurseries who could actually distribute those plants, what kind of a grant that looks like. I think they spend $250,000 a year or $500,000 a year to do these trees. If you prove that you can move away from green landscaping and grass to these low consumption plants, so we're working on that piece. But the bigger piece for me now, and I want to maybe socialize that concept with everyone. Currently, City of Laredo, from the plant to the point where people receive the water, when water goes through those lines, we have around, again, these numbers are not solid, but we have around 15% water losses in the system. Basically, breaks, cracks, flushing, and all of that. Flushing is around 33% only. And that 50%, if you do the math, it's around 5 million gallons a day. 5 million gallons a day is a very good volume of water. So one of the key priorities for me now is to hopefully have a contract soon to do what we call asset management. What does that mean? We bring a company to look at every pipeline, what's the age of this pipeline, these valves that needs to be replaced, and have what we call asset management. When would we need to change next line, and so on. If we start that process, hopefully we'll start to look at where things can happen, so proactively rather than waiting reactively. So if that goes and we can reduce our water losses in the system, that could be one of the big ticket items for us for the water conservation piece. And we continue, of course, with other things like faucet and, what do you call it, saving devices and toilet and some of the grants for people to replace their toilets or toilets that.
Toilet repair.
Exactly,
Those are still available,
Yes.
right, yeah.
Yes, they are.
yes. So that is on that piece. There is other pieces I can talk, Mr. Chair, about the secondary source, as pipe bursting, and other pieces if you have.
Sure.
If you want me to talk about, or
Yeah,
anything
I
you
think-
guys have on your agenda, or anything you want to raise.
I'll open up some new ideas there right before the end of our meeting, but yeah, if you wanna go ahead and continue with, any communication or announcements since we're.
Perfect. So on the secondary water source, I think we are continuously working with the Legacy or corporation. Legacy now, we're working with them on doing a study on the water quality. So what does that mean? We want to see the efficacy of the groundwater that is potentially being pumped from that area with the Rio Grande River type. The water from the groundwater is around 1700 ppm, and Gene, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's on the clock. And the water from the river is around 600. So we want to see when you mix 1700 with the 600, what happens, and what's the volume of the ratio that we need to blend that case. So that's part of the study. I think that should be moving hopefully soon. We got this paper signed. So that will move forward and give us some understanding of where things are right now. As you could imagine, the city is still very committed to continue the discussion, and in the, I think 2 council meetings ago, there was a direction or resolution by the council to establish a working group. That working group is headed by the assistant city manager, Mr. Chavez, Ramon Chavez, myself, city engineer, and another engineer. So that group has already just met yesterday for the first one, and we've discussed these projects and other alternatives that we would look into it. Also, we're interested in exploring the Casablanca approach, which I mentioned earlier. And the point we're trying to see, we produce 23 million gallons of treated wastewater of excellent quality, and now it's being dumped back to the river. We want to see if we use that water to go to the Casablanca Lake, put it there, store it there, mix it with the system, and use it as an emergency backup in case the Rio Grande goes out of commission. We feel, I think based on my earlier experience, and I want to share this with you because I've seen it before, lakes, sometimes rivers, get out of commission because you get a major hurricane, high turbidity, blue-green algae, which we have seen it this year, was very high, to the point where we had complaints about odor and taste. If this happens, we might be in a situation where the water cannot be used for a certain period of time. We want to make sure we have a secondary or an emergency source, so the city continue to have the water there. And that's why that other option, again, with legacy project, but that's probably gonna take a while.
I think that's a fantastic idea. That's a great idea.
I think
Mind blown.
it's win-win for the lake,
Yes.
because you get good water, because the lake right now doesn't have any outflow because the evaporation is the same as the inflow. So the lake is basically not getting.
And
So
you have infrastructure
we have
right on
infrastructure,
Route
it's like-
Saunders.
too close. I mean, cost-wise, it's not gonna cost us much. And so we're trying to see that again. We're trying to diversify our options. So that's the other
Do
one.
we know how deep that is, that lake? I mean, I've never seen it go dry, but
The lake, and from my limited knowledge, I understand it's got some parts that are 20+ feet.
really.
If it's filled up to the
20 foot+ feet deep.
deep in
Okay.
some parts, right? It's not a whole thing,
Right,
but it's got some pretty deep parts, relatively speaking. I mean, most of us think of the lake as being probably pretty shallow. It's probably about 10 on the average, I would think. But when you get,
I'm 6'6", and I can't touch the bottom when I've gone skiing, so.
yeah,
Steeper
I
than
think
that.
when you start, well, I guess depending on the water.
Depending on
level,
where you're at, I'm assuming.
I think when you get up to the spillway elevation of the dam, then
Could be.
it could definitely be pretty deep.
And we have some options like dredging and other ideas we're thinking of, so that's the second one. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would there be any kind of treaty or International Boundary Water Commission
It's,
kind
it's
of
within
thing that
the
would
state,
allow us to?
it's a state park or
Okay.
lake, so really it's within Texas, we just need to talk to the politicians and the state level regulators. Again, I wanna assure everyone, this is not drying the lake, we're not taking the lake, water from the lake, because it is a very sensitive ecosystem. There
Right.
is fish, of course, and others. Well, we're adding water there, so when you add 22, we're putting only 22 back. So the lake levels stay where they are, actually with improved water quality. It's not like we have a lake and we're gonna dry it out and the lake fish will die and none of that. It's adding good water and pumping that water back.
Okay, actually, where I was coming from with this was instead of letting it go down the river, is there any obligation we have to return water to the river?
Good point, but honestly, right now, everyone is doing agriculture on both sides of the, I was in the symposium in McAllen. Agriculture is spreading like no tomorrow in both sides of the river, in the US and in Mexico. And again, if you put back the water back, I think that one of the options was you just put a pipeline north of the water intake and discharge the treated wastewater out of it. But you push 23 million of good water quality, you may never receive that water back, because Mexico could pump it.
You're in a constant battle with Mexico. We can't control what they do on their side of the river, you know, and although they'll claim, yes, we're gonna comply and stuff, more not, they're not.
And they haven't met their 5 years obligation now. For the last 5 years, they have a debt to the states, and I think the president, the state level governor is putting together a harsh language agreement to see how can we, like there's an agreement that every 5 years both countries have
Right.
to contribute. Mexico has not met its obligation now, so they're way behind that. So everything you have from upstream from Amistad is not great because of that lack of contribution.
Yeah, they blame it on drought.
Drought, but there is agricultural expansion,
Yeah,
so,
that's
so here you go, 80% of water, by the way, is not for municipalities, it's agriculture.
Right.
So if you put that money in water back, yes, you're right, you improve the water of the river, but water for the river or water for the people there, we have to make that decision, but at least we have a solution for now. And I'm pleased actually to share with you something, I might be probably scoping this from communication, and Sylvia will probably, so we have just signed the agreement with the Corps of Engineer. It has been, remember last week last meeting, the $20 million that were secured or facilitated by Congressman Quirlar.
Mhm.
Now the agreement has been signed with the federal agency, Corps of Engineers. So what is that project gonna entail? The Alpeco plant and the Jefferson will be connected together through the distribution system, SCADA systems, valve systems. So if one goes down, the other plant can sustain flow for the whole city. Right now, if one goes down for operation or maintenance or upsets or this, you have half of the city will be disconnected from the system, so we will not have water. We have to go some tinkering with the valves and manual operation, but we don't think the pressure with the expansion in the city right now is gonna be enough to sustain feeding the whole city under one plant, under the current regime. So this $26 million project, $26 million project, which was got approved, will be able to connect the both plants, so the city has always a backup.
There's 1,200 Corps of Engineers right now at the college. They're all just sitting there waiting to do something.
They,
They just came in, 2 battalions just came in,
wow, yeah.
and they're all Corps of Engineers.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to be doing?
I don't know if they're there because for the wall, I don't know,
Yeah,
I mean, you know, they brought all their toys with them, you know, so it's like, they got tanks and they
Did
got.
you say 1,200?
I have 1,200 soldiers, they're all Corps of
They're
Engineers.
top-notch guys, resort
They're good guys, I mean, you know what, they're just doing what they.
Yeah, they're
They're doing their mission.
They're from, so the guys that rotated out were actually from North Dakota, the first 800 that were there. And they spent the first summer here and they were just like, oh, from North Dakota, they were like, geez. these guys, the ones that we just got are from, New York. I said, oh no, we've been through a heat wave up there. I said, no, you ain't never seen a heat wave like this one.
You know, I have a question in regards to Lake Casablanca, if I may.
Please, yeah, look picture.
There are some individuals here on the board that are showing enthusiasm on that, and I like the idea, although there have been some prior board members that say that, you know, having Lake Casablanca as an emergency backup won't last but a few days of water for the city of Laredo. But my question is, if the Lake Casablanca is used for a backup system, can Lake Casablanca be dredged safely to add more, I guess, more water into the lake? Because I'm gonna say the lake is what, 80 years old or 85 years that they built it. I'm sure there's a lot of sediment on that lake. I don't know, I'm assuming it just rainfall and year after year after year, just there's water. I mean, there's a sediment that is there in the lake, and I was just wondering if it can be safely dredged, because I know for a fact that when lakes are built, there's a certain underlayer so the water won't seep.
The clay.
Clay, yeah,
Clay?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you break that clay,
You remove that clay, then you're in trouble.
the water's gonna seep all the way down.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'm sure, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure an engineer would be,
I think there is engineering solution for
I mean,
sensitive weather.
certainly there's ways to, and obviously going and dredging would be following, you know, Corps of Engineers standards and policies and stuff like that. There's a certain way to do it. I'm sure that they'll assume a certain depth or probably do some boreholes to determine what the level of the clay layer is and assume, okay, clay layer's 5 feet deep, so we're gonna dredge 2 feet. We're gonna say, there's gotta be some way to figure that out. I'm sure it'll all be done properly.
All right, because 2 points I remember back in I think it was in the 90s, I saw some video back in either 90s or early 2000s, like I really can't remember. The Mississippi River was dredged in certain areas because there's just too much sediment and there was an overflow over the banks, right, the Mississippi River. So for safety, it was dredged. And not only that, I'm not sure which country it is, but it's in the Middle Eastern area. I don't know what exactly country or state or municipality it was, but there was a lot of dredging done over there because they created some type of a palm island.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
You've been there?
I've not been there, I just read about it.
I was there. We did something to the other country, Qatar there. So the dredging
You
could
can see
happen.
it from space.
Oh, yeah, that's.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So the concern with dredging for the lake is not the leak, it's actually the aquatic environment, because you have fish. And when you dredge, you create a lot of siltation, and that could issue. So, but they have now what they call them screens, and you do it in a careful way, and and you pump the whole thing outside the lake, so it's not actually creating more murky and turbidity there. But I don't think that's an issue for this situation, and the inlet could be way deeper into the lake rather than the shallow areas, so we can deal with that. We just need to understand the permitting process and the mechanics of that. So that's something, of course, the environmental aspects needs to be understood. Totally.
Okay.
Are we still waiting on the other individual?
Well, I mean, if he happens to show up, we can vote on any action items that are required, but if not, we'll have to push the action items, including, you know, approval of the minutes, we can push that to the next meeting. It's not a big deal.
Sure.
So, no, we're not. Well, let Dr. T go ahead and.
The other one is pipe bursting, so we are now 51%. So we finished around 16,000 feet of pipe bursting replacement. We're almost, and we're moving faster than we think, so we should be done by December this year, the first batch. We are aiming to go with another batch, hopefully by January, February, and find another 25,000 feet of more pipelines based on their breakage and all of that to replace. We will go with another RFP soon for that in January, so just to be aware where that piece, I think we have been getting a lot of success in the first phase. I know we didn't make a dent, because my understanding, we have 125,000 lines that needs repairs. So we're still going step by step, but is gonna happen, so we're on track. I will bring every time for this council, for this committee, where we are. So hopefully by next one, we should be at 75%, 80% done, and by December, we should be done with the whole plan for this project and move to the next phase, which we are now planning to see where these locations should be and all of that.
I have a question, so are they scattered, all the, like, okay,
They're
they're not like moving in a
No.
group?
They were decided as the highest breakages and their district.
Got you.
So every district has its own pieces. Now, some might have more pain than others, but they were intentionally designed to cover all the districts. And we have them,
Yeah, because you know, you were only over here, you didn't come to me, everybody's got a little bit going on.
I know, but no, we were conscious of that concept, so we didn't focus on, I know that the downtown is a very impacted area, but we're trying to address the issues as we go, so that's there. The last piece for me today, Mr. Chair, is
Yes,
the wastewater treatment stabilization. So we're going to the council next week on Monday.
Okay.
We have now a contract to retain an engineering firm to do the stabilization of that wall. So we're looking at engineering solutions to deal with that, and basically putting a wall in that creek to prevent the whole thing from collapsing and deal with, I don't know, an issue that has been going on for
Years.
For years.
Mhm.
So that is gonna be an interesting project.
That's at the Zacate,
Zacate.
oh, Zacate.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that still the Zacate wastewater treatment plant? Is that still the only one we have?
No,
Or we have more?
we have one in the south, we have, one in the north, Manalas, I don't know how far.
Manara is
Manara.
February, should be up and running.
Yeah, so
Manalas,
there's one
yeah.
in the west, yeah, those, I think there's four or five.
Yes. A whole army of people both sides. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Dr. T, for all those updates. Does anybody have any action items, that they would like, or any items they would like to look at for the next meeting? I'll open the floor to that for a few minutes. I have one I'd like to present, but I'll open it first. Anybody else? You wanna talk about for next meeting?
How are you doing with, storage tanks? I know that you went out for an RFQ on one, is that still moving forward?
Great question. So we have two storage tanks, elevated storage tanks.
That's correct.
One at the Mines Road, north of Mines Road, at the corner.
35 area, yes.
Correct. And,
South.
and the other one, south is already moving, it's actually, the one in the south is actually a ground storage tank.
Okay,
This is with Ardora now,
yes,
and they're moving ahead with the design, and they're moving to I just met actually Nacho on the corridor, he was briefing me on where that thing, so that's moving on track, on schedule. We should be building that one. I think it's a 250,000 gallons, so that's moving. The RFQ closed last week. I'm supposed to meet with my team to score the bidders. We got 6 bids, I believe, which was a good turnout.
the number?
Good number, a lot of good people, expertise there, so we're looking through them now to find one. Once we locate that one, we'll go to the council for approval, and that will be then, we have the funds for that. I think we allocated, $6 million for the next elevated tank, but it's really just that selection of the engineering firm.
You know, and I really like that you're very proactive instead of reactive. And it's coming, and the city continues to grow and grow, and then if you're not proactive, now they're gonna, you got all these subdivisions, and how are you gonna feed them? And that happened to us in the north. For a little while, they had all these, at the time was San Isidro and all these big old homes, couldn't get water to them. The pressure was really bad, and finally we got that taken care of, and so, you know, I like the fact that you're very proactive, and that you're moving forward, and like, hey, it's coming. And when it gets there, you're already there.
100%. And another piece of the strategy for the emergency water system is not just dealing with the natural system, is building some more engineering storage tanks for the future. Maybe another solution, if we can, if Casablanca doesn't work for whatever reason, what other options do we have? So maybe building more of a storage tanks. Yes, they're not gonna stay there for more than 3-4 days, but having more of that give you time to think versus 24 hours time to run
Yeah.
out of water there. So that's also on the plan to see, can we build more of those elevated tanks somewhere else in the city or expansion areas as a backup systems to help us in the case of an emergency. So that's on the table right now.
Thank you, Mr. Yoder. Anything? Blanco?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Will we be having a meeting in December?
Good question. I don't know honestly.
And I ask because I'm gonna be having some events in San Antonio, because I'm also on the board for Texas Rio Grande Eagle 8.
December 11th.
December 11th is scheduled. Okay.
I mean,
I mean, we could shoot that out if there's anything that we need to
if we
look
don't
at.
have
or-
enough, I'll be in contact with you, Mr. Chair. If we
Yes, sir.
find like 3 people only willing to attend or something, you let me know if you
Yes,
want to
sir.
proceed or we just.
Yeah, I think those, holiday time, Mr. Blanco's always tough, right? I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will not be here for the majority of the week from the 9th to the 15th. I mean, I know the world doesn't revolve around me, but I'm sharing with the board that I have some events over there in San Antonio.
No, and I'm sure I will, maybe we'll put out a feeler email and check with
Let's check.
everybody. I think that'll be easy enough to do.
Awesome.
But yeah, we'll look into that, Mr. Blanco. We'll let you know.
Thank you. And these events that we have, with TRLA, it's only once a year. It's not like it's every month or anything.
Yeah,
like that.
No, that's fine. We'll look at that. We'll keep everybody informed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. Only thing I had, I guess, Dr. T, was just something to look at more on the technical side from my background in engineering was, I had a contractor ask me about using C909 pipe instead of C900 as an alternative.
Okay.
C909 is a technical, it's got some specs that are a little bit different, but long story short, talk to your staff, and it seems like it has been used by the city on some things, and it has been approved, but
Is it the PVC thing?
it's a PVC, yes, sir. It's a PVC water pipe.
Price.
It's priced, yeah. Basically, the contractor wanted to use it, and it was on a private job, but I wanted to do my research and sort of find out from the city, but just something, what I'd like to look at a little bit on a technical side would be if there are some acceptable alternative materials that the city has been using for some time or a few months or is willing to approve, if we could start to maybe look at developing some alternatives that can get shot out back to the engineering and construction community as
Got it.
uses.
I
So
appreciate
that's my
it.
first one.
That's a good one. So I will
C900 water pipe versus
We'll
C909.
check with the distribution guys and our engineering folks.
Yeah. And, if it's something that's acceptable to the city, or we can work at how we can get it accepted by the city as an alternative use,
Got it.
then maybe we could put out a technical memo or something that lets everybody know.
Sure.
But that was all I had.
Oh, that's all, okay. We're good?
If we have anything else, I'll go ahead and, I guess entertain a motion to close the meeting. We're here.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you.
Everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.
Yes, thank you.
Can't believe it's already in 2 weeks.